Hello, everybody. Well, the good thing is, now that I'm demonetized, we don't have to wait for an ad to play before we can talk to each other. So, silver linings, guys. Hello. Am I low? I feel low. Happy Tuesday. Every Tuesday is school picture day for Kate with my thumbnails. Hi, guys. Hello, hello. So lots to go over. Q was just dropping a ton. I was actually sitting here trying to get ready, and I was like I always try when Q has drops to post them on my Twitter, because I still have that the Q drops app that a lot of people can't download. You can't download it anymore, as far as I know. So I get notifications pretty quickly. I think that app is the quickest of all of them. Unless you're sitting there on 8kun watching them come in real time, I believe that's the quickest. So I always try to share the wealth of getting those drops really quickly. I'm gonna back this up. Okay. So, hi. So I was trying to post all of them, but there were like, I don't even know how many. Like 8 or something, 9, I don't know. And I just didn't get around to them. I was reading them though, but it takes a long time to crop pictures, guys. So sorry I didn't get all those out to you. Maybe when I'm done with this, I will try to put those up. You know, I don't have every Q drop on my Twitter. I would love to. I just don't have the time. Sometimes Q drops in the middle of the night or when I'm out doing something, but if I catch it, I always try to post it immediately for everybody. So let's hop into these articles, shall we? We have, for those of you who are new, we have the links to all of these things that I'm going to go over. They are down below, so you can read along. You can, you know, I just really kind of go over snippets of these things, and then if you find what I'm talking about very juicy, you can go and read it for yourself, because the entire article is down below. So, Connecticut police to test pandemic drone that monitors the health of residents. This is like out of a sci-fi movie, and not a positive sci-fi movie like a oh no sci-fi movie, I think. Police in Westport, Connecticut, they said they will be testing a pandemic drone that can scan the body temperatures of residents to determine if they have fevers or other health symptoms in an effort to combat the coronavirus. Aerospace company Dragonfly announced in the news release the drones will be equipped and with a specialized sensor and computer vision systems that can display heart and respiratory rates. They can also detect people coughing in crowds, police say. Police said the goal of the program is to better provide health monitoring support for potential at-risk groups, including the elderly or those with pre-existing conditions. Police also plan to monitor how residents are social distancing in public areas where groups may be congregating, including beaches, train stations, parks, and shopping centers. The technology can detect infectious conditions from 190 feet away. When we get technology like this, like, I'm sure this isn't, you know, revolutionary. Maybe these things have been in the public before, but always when there's something new, you just kind of know that this stuff has been around for a really long time, and that the powers that be, let's say, have access to this kind of stuff. Obviously, these things can be used for both good and evil, I suppose. I've always wondered about this when, like, for example, Secret Service keeping POTUS protected. I wonder if they have some kind of technology like this that would monitor people's heart rates and things like that in a crowd to see, like, I have no idea. This is me just spitballing here, but anyway, I don't like it. I don't like the idea of it being used for this. I think this is a complete overreach of power, and yeah, that kind of sucks. I'm seeing a lot of videos of people getting arrested for just being outside, or at least getting, you know, like a firm talking to by police and being told to leave. We don't like to see that. Obviously, you know, I think that staying in your home is a good thing, but when the weather starts getting good, and now that they're talking about how sunny weather might actually be good to keep people healthy, then people should be allowed to you know, be outside if they're social distancing. Anyway. Okay, John Durham expands an investigative team amid coronavirus outbreak. Top federal prosecutor for Connecticut selected additional team members for his investigative effort in recent weeks, adding agents from the FBI as well as the chief of violent crimes and narcotics trafficking section for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington. His name's Anthony Scarpelli. So just got Durham, who's been running the operation out of Connecticut and DC, drove down to Washington a few weeks ago to keep the investigation moving, even as COVID-19 virus hampered many law enforcement efforts worldwide. Scarpelli has spent the last 2 years leading the office in charge of the fight against murder and the drug trade in Washington. Now, this struck me as interesting. I had one name that came to mind when I read that this guy was being added, and that name was Seth Rich. So we'll see about that, but that would be very interesting and a good part of the investigation, let's say. I like this. Sweet innocent Dr. Fauci had an assistant doctor fired and jailed in 2011 for warning that vaccines were giving Americans known chronic diseases. This is a Gateway Pundit article. Dr. Judy Mikovits was a brilliant young doctor with a promising career until she discovered that she was considered to be Sometimes my notes are just like really, really sad. Until she discovered what she considered to be harmful consequences with vaccines, I think that's supposed to say. After she came out with her warnings, she was jailed for identifying the link between vaccines and chronic diseases. This lady, Dr. Judy Mikovits, is now on Twitter. I just started following her. I have a link to both this article and her Twitter down below, so go take a look at that. Follow her if you so desire. The mother of Joe Biden's accuser was talking to CNN in 1993. So this video was circulating online and then it just kind of got taken down everywhere. In fact, I believe Google was one of the ones that took it down. Don't quote me on that. But Tara Reid, who is the woman that is accusing Joe Biden of sexual misconduct, let's say, her mother called into the, was it the Larry King show? Larry King? Saying that her daughter was sexually harassed and retaliated against and fired, and where can she go for help, basically. And so there was some speculation, like, was this woman's mother or not? But Tara has since come out and confirmed that it was her mother's voice on that. So the, oh yeah, it did disappear from the Google Play catalog, but I have a link below that has the video in it. You can hear it for yourself. We've got a million things going on with Kim Jong-un. MSNBC's Katy tweeted the other day saying, by the way, she's got 274,000 followers, sorry, 724,000 followers. And to them she wrote, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is brain dead, according to 2 U.S. officials. He recently had cardiac surgery and slipped into a coma, according to 1 U.S. current and 1 former U.S. official. At NBC News confirms and adds to CNN scoop. Well, that kind of took off like wildfire. She deleted her tweet, as they do, and but tweets are forever, the internet's forever, and it was still going around. Other news were picking up on it, reporting on it. I don't know if they were running with just her say so, or if they were getting other intel that was saying that he was dead, and then we were hearing that he was brain dead, and then we were hearing, no, he didn't even have surgery. And it was kind of all over the place, and then we're hearing that he's fine. I have an article below from Reuters that is reporting that his private train was spotted in a resort town in his country. So the train is only is reserved for use for the Kim family. So it would be probably a good speculation that maybe he was there using it, although there hasn't been any confirmation of seeing him there, no pictures or anything. The train was parked at Leadership Station in Wonsan and on April 21st and 23rd. And So I guess speculation about his health first arose due to his absence from the anniversary of the birthday of North Korea's founding father and Kim's grandfather, Kim Il-sung, on April 15th. And he's since missed several kind of big events. So that had people speculating to begin with. Then this Katy chick reports that, that she's heard that he's brain dead. Trump was asked about it in his press conference, and he has said, no, I don't believe that. So he's being very elusive with it. He's like, no, I know how he is. I know his condition, but I'm not going to tell you. You'll find out when you find out. So a couple things that came to my mind here. One was that this would be an interesting way to find a leak and also to expose the fake news for what they are and how irresponsible they are with information, would be to leak something like this, have the media run with it, and then, as I said on my Twitter, have him come out in like a Hawaiian t-shirt unbuttoned with like a cocktail and a tan, be like, what? I'm here. So that was my first thought. Another is, if perhaps Kim Jong-un stepped out of line somewhere with his missiles, his rockets, and Trump had him killed. So this goes back to something that I've talked to a few times on this, is that you don't want a president who is predictable. You want a president who everybody's left guessing. And yeah, that's going to include the citizens sometimes, but if somebody steps out of line, like, this would be a good way for him to show he means business. And, the media has said that he's, too buddy-buddy with Kim Jong-un, and, as if them being cordial and actually getting along isn't good for our country, because I believe it is. But you also have to be firm, and especially with leaders who would threaten the United States. So we'll see how that pans out. I have another article down below also from the Epic Times, kind of corroborating that Reuters story, saying that, basically saying that that there were South Korean officials, and saying that he was alive and well. So it's still all over the place, but I kind of like watching the media chase their tail over this. Far left super PAC created by Media Matters founder under investigation. This is a Sarah Carter article. American Bridge 21st Century, a far left organization created by Media Matters for America, founder and progressive political operative David Brock may have violated its tax-exempt status by engaging in political activities while describing itself as a nonprofit. Interesting little tidbit about David Brock. He was James Alefantis' boyfriend. He also was once upon a time a pretty staunch conservative, and then he like completely flipped. I remember my mother being very confused by him because once upon a time, she aligned with him, and it was like he kind of changed overnight. So he's a kind of interesting character. Not that that can't happen, but it does make you wonder. According to records, American Bridge 21st Century has spent $10 million in advertising in battleground states to attack President Trump. The group's ad accusing Mr. Trump of leaving the country unprepared for the coronavirus pandemic by shipping medical supplies to China prompted the president to call it fake news in a tweet published Wednesday morning. Brock, a longtime ally of Bill and Hillary Clinton, has dedicated most of his career to attacking conservatives and right-leaning media. However, he began his career as a conservative before becoming a Democrat and Clinton's shill in the late 1990s. Leftist billionaire George Soros has been a top donor to American Bridge 21st Century. Soros also funds Media Matters through his Open Society Foundation. Media Matters for America is associated with American Bridge 21st Century, with Brock being the founder of both organizations. So this goes very nicely into our next piece of news, which is also about George Soros. Ukrainian authorities have launched a criminal investigation into an HIV nonprofit that receives huge sums of money from the United States government, as well as left-wing billionaire George Soros. This is a Judicial Watch article. Ukrainian authorities have launched a criminal investigation into an HIV nonprofit that receives huge sums of money. The foreign probe exposes one of many outrageous collaborative efforts between Uncle Sam and the Hungarian philanthropist who funds a multitude of projects worldwide, ain't that the truth, aimed at spreading a radical globalist agenda. The probe partially targets a controversial civil rights activist named Vitaly Shubunin, who operates a scandal-plagued group also funded by Soros called Anti-Corruption Action Center. I love how all of these like task force and like foundations and everything always have the opposite name of what they're actually doing. So anyway, basically they were funneling money, you know, this is obviously, this should mean something to the American taxpayer because a lot of our tax dollars went to this company. So at the time, the Ukrainian's Prosecutor General's office was looking into Ant AC while investigating whether $4.4 million in U.S. funds to fight crime had been improperly diverted. So we shall see about that. This next one, I don't really know a ton about it. Somebody that I follow posted this trailer, and for a movie coming out, it looks like a really awesome movie. The guy who posted it's a guy named Kyle Zachman that I follow. I've got his link to the tweet below that has the trailer in it. It says a true story of Tim Ballard, who's played by Jim Caviezel, who quit his job at the Department of Homeland Security to help save the lives of thousands of children from human trafficking. So this is a great, I mean, it looks like a really legitimate film. It looks really good, and anytime we can get more eyes on human trafficking and people to understand that is very good. So I'm excited to see this movie. I also noticed that in the trailer, the song in the trailer is by Massive Attack. And if you see, some of you will remember, I think I'm remembering this right, Massive Attack had some pictures. People went to their concert and they, you know, they've got the projection screen behind them that's playing like, you know, little movies and things like that. They had, you know, stuff about Epstein didn't kill himself. They had a giant Q. They had lots of Q related content behind them. So it kind of sent my little, you know, my little up. I was like, oh, Massive Attack follows Q. That's pretty awesome because I like their music too. So I would love to know. I would love to know who follows Q. I actually know of, there are some big people that will reach out to certain people every once in a while, and obviously they want to remain anonymous, but there are people out there whose names you would know and faces you would know who follow Q, but for reasons that I'm sure we all can understand, they have to stay private about it. But they will kind of post things publicly that will, you know, kind of give you hints towards that, but they won't make it very obvious because obviously that will not be good for their careers, unfortunately. Twitter CEO unveils feature to editorialize Trump's tweets as election looms. This is a Zero Hedge article. Yeah, I'm just going to read it because I like the way he writes anyway. These are funny. He says, a handful of companies are controlling the majority of the world's conversations, subtly introducing rules to close the gap of what ideas they find acceptable and slowly edging out those they don't. One of the most prominent ways that tech companies have been doing that as of late is the result of realizing they can get ample media support and can stay in the good graces of legacy media outlets when they censor content for being misinformation. The guise of protecting the world from misinformation is fast becoming the easiest justification for censorship online right now. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey talked about this in a live stream with Showtime hosts Deuces Nice and the Kid Marrow. One of the quotes from him is, he said, misleading information is like the challenge of our industry now. The hosts were eager to discuss what Dorsey had in mind for punishing those who say things that is deemed to be misinformation. So now it is the job of a tech company to dole out punishments for people that have wrong think or wrong speech. They gave the example, what would happen if President Trump tweeted potentially harmful statements about the coronavirus. And Jack said, anything that we can do to interstitial a lot of this and provide context that is credible and might show a disagreement or a debate around the topic, I think would be helpful. The team is working on a great experiment to do just that. We hope to launch as quickly as possible to give people a broader context for a particular tweet. I think it will disarm a bunch of it. The details are sparse so far, but it appears that Dorsey plans to introduce a feature that comes in when Twitter finds a statement that a world leader makes and wants to challenge it. In other words, Twitter feels brave enough to place some kind of editorialized interstitial between a world leader and the reader that alters the way the reader perceives the tweet. So this is kind of like what we're already starting to see on Instagram and Facebook when you see a post and it's either like blurred out or it's got the little thing below it that says like, this post might not be true, or our fact checkers found that this is false information, or whatever it is. So part of what he's saying, I've kind of said before, in that part of the reason I do like Twitter as a platform is because there's a conversation going on there. When a piece of news drops, or when somebody posts something interesting, many times I will read the comments under it to see what people are saying about it, and a lot of times I find really good information, really good, thoughts and whatever. So it sounds like this will kind of take that and turn it into something that is artificial, in order to just kind of steer things in the direction of the narrative that they want. And they're talking about doing this to the President of the United States. So that's nuts. And I hate it. So many people are getting taken off of Twitter, taken off of everything, all the different platforms. I'm seeing just crazy censorship every single week. It gets worse and worse. Just when we think that it's like, couldn't get worse, this is the worst of it, it does. And so it's hard. When I got demonetized a couple weeks ago, it changed things for me, not because of the money, because I've told you guys before, the money is not that big of a deal, but I got no warning, and it makes me fear that one day I'm just going to be doing my live, they're just going to shut me down, or one day my YouTube channel is just going to be gone. And it's hard to keep morale up. It's hard to work. When I was sitting here for the last couple days putting together my notes for this, it's hard to stay motivated, because part of me is just like, I have no idea if my channel is even going to be there on Tuesday. So it's really unfair, and they know that they're doing that to us, which is, on one hand, you got to just kind of use it and be like, okay, well, I'm going to, yes, I was completely demonetized. So I can apply again on the 5th, but they didn't tell me what are the offending videos, so there's no use in me applying again, because whatever they didn't like about my channel is still up there. I'd be happy to delete, well, not happy, but I would delete anything that they said was not to their liking, so that, I'm just very nervous about getting my channel taken down. But if that happens, you guys know I will find another way. We'll do this somewhere else. In some ways it's strengthened my resolve, but it really is just a bummer that they're able to do these things to us. When we see what's going, we see the kinds of things that can stay up, we see the kinds of things, gross, awful, terrible things that are allowed to remain on these certain social media platforms. And yet those of us who, when I think about what I do, I feel very non-controversial. I sit here and I tell you guys, like, I literally go over mainstream news, right? These are all mainstream media articles that I'm presenting to you. And, do I look scary? I don't know. But apparently I am. Apparently I am the big bad wolf. Just a couple things left on my list here, if I can find it. I think I closed it out. Who am I? Oh, there it is. Okay, let's see. We went over that. I've got a link below to I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a video that came out of the president in a room with one of the, didn't I put down, I thought I put down, it doesn't matter because I can remember it, but I thought I had notes for this. Anyway, it's just this fogger that they use to sanitize a room. And actually, I believe it was NASA, and they use it for things like if they're going to put one of those rovers on Mars or the moon or something like that, they have to completely sanitize it first because they don't want to transport any of the microbes from Earth to a different planet, which makes sense. Also, because if they find something, like a microbe, they want to know that it came from there and not from here. So it's essentially this machine that's a fogger, and it will sanitize everything in the room, and you leave it there for an hour, and then it's safe to go in there. And they said that they've already been using it for in ambulances, and that they want to start using it for schools and things like that. And I'm curious about what the chemical actually is, what the fog is actually made of. They didn't say. But I wonder if it has anything to do with the disinfectant that Trump has been talking about. Let's see. Oh, this one was really annoying. Democrats plan to censure Lawmaker who credited Trump for her COVID-19 recovery. Remember, this is the lady that sat in the cabinet room with the president, and she's a Democrat, but she had the coronavirus, and she basically said that she tried HCQ because of his recommendation, that she wouldn't have known about it, she wouldn't have pushed for it had he not done that, and that she credits that with her recovery and how well she recovered. So she was there to thank him, and she said, "Thank you for everything you've done. I didn't know that saying thank you had a political line. I'm telling my story and my truth, and this is how I feel. These are my words." She wasn't being political. She wasn't saying, you're the best president we've ever had. She was merely just thanking another human being for possibly, I don't know, maybe saving her life or making her not be sick for as long as she might have been, or whatever it was. And State Representative Karen Whitsett from Detroit broke protocol by meeting with President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence during an April 14th meeting of COVID-19 survivors, which she credited hydroxychloroquine for saving her life, a Democratic district leader said. Thursday, Ronna McDaniel tweeted about it, and Trump responded to her saying, "Disgraceful, she should join the Republican Party." So this means that she will not get the group's endorsement for this year, nor will she be able to engage in the group's activities for the next 2 election cycles. That seems pretty harsh, all because she thanked another human being. Barr orders legal action against governors whose COVID-19 actions infringe on civil rights. Yeah, Barr, thank you. He was talking about this for a while, but yesterday a memo came out. Attorney General Barr on Monday ordered federal prosecutors across the country to consider legal action against governors if their efforts to stop the spread of the new coronavirus infringe on Americans' civil rights. In a 2-page memo, Mr. Barr directed all U.S. attorneys to be on the lookout for local and state directives that could violate religious, free speech, or economic rights under the Constitution. Here's a quote from him, which I like. "Many policies would be unthinkable in regular times have become commonplace in recent weeks, and we do not want to unduly interfere with the important efforts of state and local officials to protect the public. But the Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis." Amen to that. A couple other just last things. Flynn to be exonerated this week. I hope so. I hope that happens immediately. I hope it happens yesterday. That was one of the things that Q posted. It was the 3 American flags and the 3 stars, and I think that the 3 stars was probably a nod to General Flynn. He's a 3-star lieutenant general, and maybe I hope we've got big news coming for him. He definitely deserves it. His family definitely deserve it, and it's way overdue. I've got okay, so I posted this video yesterday of these doctors talking, Dr. Erickson, and I don't know the other doctor's name, but they are talking about the coronavirus and, you know, their observations. They are looking at the CDC numbers and saying what, you know, these are men that have background in infectious diseases and, you know, whatever. They're giving their explanations for it. So I had posted that yesterday. I guess Laura Ingraham posted it at the beginning of her show yesterday, and by the end of the show, the videos had already been taken down. So, which she talked about on there. So, I found somebody found and sent it to me the entire interview, which I think is like an hour and a half on BitChute. So I put the link to that below if you haven't seen that yet. It's long, but it's very, very informative. If you do nothing else, if you were not going to read another article that I posted or anything, watch that video. It is well worth your time. You know that because it was taken down. They don't do that to information that is not worth our time. So, oh, I'm glad I wrote this down because I don't know why I keep forgetting every single time. I'll be like going to bed on like Tuesday nights or other nights too, and I'll be like, I keep forgetting to mention that. It's been over a year since I started my YouTube channel. Noisemaker, party hat. Yeah, I completely spaced it. You know, a couple weeks ago I was sitting there and I was like thinking about the date, and actually I was thinking about my Twitter account, which I often do. It's all I think about, if we're being honest. So I was thinking about the date that I started my Twitter. I think I was talking to somebody about it, and I started my Twitter, you know, within like a week or so of starting my YouTube channel. And yeah, I just realized that it's been, thank you guys, it's been over a year since I've had my channel. Time flies when you're being throttled, guys. But that's awesome. I really never thought that I would be doing this long. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna make a couple videos. I'm probably gonna just like get squeamish and feel too geeky to keep going, but here I am. Another thing that I wanted to mention just really quickly, a couple things that have been going around on Twitter at least and being shared between people. One was the new Wikileaks dump, which I think I addressed last week, that it doesn't appear like anything new is on there. I've yet to see anything new that or any evidence that anything new was on there. I think it was just kind of being brought back out for whatever reason. Same thing with this. There's a new JFK file that is going around, and the things that people are pulling from it are things that I know for certain have already been out there. Number one, because I remember reading them years ago. But number two, if you look them up, if you Google them, you'll literally find articles from like 2011 about these documents. So I have not yet seen any evidence that this is actually, that there's anything new here, but I could be wrong. If anybody's got evidence that it's new, then I'd love to see it. Of course, that doesn't mean don't go through it or whatever. It's still good information, but I do wonder, it can be kind of a distraction. Sometimes I wonder, why did these things get pushed out when they get pushed out? Is somebody just being kind of overzealous with their sharing and making it seem like it's this new big thing because they want to get eyes on it? Is it being, you know, is it a distraction intentionally? So I really don't know, but it's good information to look at. But there are so many other things going on right now that make sure that you're not just like super invested. There are people that are digging through it right now and trying to find whether or not there's anything new. I've actually seen people like going through and being like, oh my gosh, this is new, and there's literally no proof that any of that stuff is new. It might be new to them, but some of us have seen, you know, between all of us, I think, between everybody out there, we've all seen parts of it. I have yet to see anything that is brand new from it. So anyway, that's just wanted to let you guys know that, because I've got a lot of people sending me all of that. Another thing, I guess, while I'm on the topic, if you guys send me my messages now are it's very hard for me to respond to everybody, and that's very hard for me because I feel very rude, and I don't like that. It makes me feel bad, and part of me was like, well, maybe I should just turn off my messages completely, because I hate the idea of somebody sending me something and then me not getting back to them and them taking it personally or having their feelings hurt or something like that. So anyway, just keep that in mind. If you sent me something and you didn't get a response back, it is nothing personal. I literally do not have the time to, if I responded to every single one of my messages, I would have no time for my child. I would have no time to do these lives every week. And a lot of times people will send me like a 20-minute, hour-long video, be like, oh my gosh, check this out. And I wish I could. I literally wish, if I had a superpower, that's the superpower that if I could choose a superpower, I would choose a superpower where I could like just touch information and just absorb it instantly and not have to, but unfortunately I can't, and I literally don't have the time. Sometimes if you think something is like really insanely important for me to look at, it's really helpful. It would be really helpful if you gave me just like a brief synopsis of what it is, because sometimes too, it's something I've already seen. So if you tell me that, then I can be like, oh, I have seen this. And, yada, yada, this is what I thought. Here's to Kate hitting 20,000. Where? Hi, y'all. Are new people not welcome here? Of course they are. Why do you say that? Drinking myself into a coma. That ain't good. Look out for you guys, yourselves with that, you guys. It's got to be at some point part of the Great Awakening to take care of yourselves more. And I don't say that, I hope I don't sound preachy when I say that. I don't say that from a position of looking down on anybody. That is just something that I've noticed across the board. It also is such a crazy time. It's so hard. Everybody's going through something emotionally and going through stuff in their personal lives. And, spiritual attacks are real, and the stuff that we're dealing with is very heavy. You gotta just be as strong and as healthy as you can. And, that's my recommendation. It's not easy. I know. I don't do a great job either. I had a root beer, and I was just like, oh my God, the sugar. But that has been an important piece of the puzzle, at least for me, and a lot of the people that I talk to, is just taking care of yourself. Not that you can't drink, not that you can't, whatever. It's just watch out for yourself if you start noticing yourself drinking heavily or falling into bad habits, because right now I feel like the universe is throwing everything at all of us. Everything that we've ever struggled with, everything we've ever battled with is being thrown at us right now. And so just be cognizant of that so that you can protect yourself. Hello, Bovine Joni. Hello, mother. Bovine Joni isn't my mother. I was saying hi to two different people, by the way. God is testing us all. Yes. What's your highest score in bowling? I don't know, like 12? No idea. I do like to bowl though, and I'm not too bad, but I'm not too good either. And I have no idea what my high score is. Haven't had a touch of alcohol for over 20 years. That's very impressive. It's not easy. I think one of the things that helps me in anything, like whatever it is that I'm deciding that I need to do, that isn't necessarily in my nature, is to just like go full bore and make it my identity, which sounds weird. But a lot of people will stop drinking, but then they won't tell the people in their lives that they're not drinking because it's awkward. I understand that. You don't want to be like the wet blanket that's like, sorry guys, I'm not drinking. And there's a weird thing in people who are drinking, if you're not drinking, that they like, it's almost like you're slighting them. So I get that, but if you can just like make it your identity, I would really actually like to do probably an entire live where I talk about this, you know, through the eyes of hypnotherapy, basically just changing bad habits, because that's a whole topic on its own. There are a couple topics that I'm kind of thinking like maybe one other day a week I'll get on here and I'll have like one specific topic, and that I will just go into full detail about. Obviously hypnotherapy, or like the hypnotherapy stuff can be broken into sections, and we can do a bunch of different discussions based on that stuff. But, you know, part of, you know, infertility is something that I've gone through. I've had, you know, I said something recently about it on my Twitter, and I had a bunch of people reaching out to me saying that they had gone through it too, or were going through it now. And so I'd be happy to share my experiences with you guys if that's helpful to anybody, and to talk to people about it. I once upon a time had a blog about it, so I'm very comfortable talking about it, and you guys know that I'm very, I'm an open book. So, you know, something like that. Postpartum depression, also something that I don't think is talked about enough. I could definitely sit here and talk your ear off about that. So, and if you guys have any ideas for things you guys want to hear me just prattle on about, you message me where I won't see it. I'll probably see it. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I see almost all of my messages. That probably sounds a lot worse, because then I'm reading it and I'm not responding to it. But I at least try to look at it, because if it's something super imperative, then I'm gonna get back to you. I probably just made that a lot worse for myself, because I'm gonna get like a bunch of messages and people are gonna be like, I know you're reading it. Ivanka had PPD. I feel everybody has PPD, like everybody that I know. When I had postpartum depression, I remember talking to my friends about it. Nobody ever talked to me about it. And then I was opening up to some of my friends who had kids, and they were like, oh yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I was like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? Like, why didn't you prepare me when I was pregnant that this was something that, because I thought I was a crazy person, and I never thought I would get through it or get better. So, biatches. Let's see, what else you got for me? You're in the hospital right now for some GI issues. I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better soon. This place is so clean, I think COVID-19 would be hard to catch here. I have postpartum depression whenever I leave ESETI. I need to go there desperately. That's on my bucket list. Was I ever a baller? Do you mean like wealthy or like basketball player? Because no to both. Never in my life have I been any kind of baller. Oh, Bovine Joni, you want to take a road trip with me? I'll go to ESETI. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Where should I put it? I wrote it down. Here we go. Let's see if that sticks. Can you guys even read that? You probably can't even read that. Womp, womp, womp. Whamp, 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 whamp. Whatever, I tried. I told you guys I was gonna do it. I should get like a fancy one, but I actually think the Post-it is funnier. But if I did like an actual scroll down here that said it, who am I kidding? You guys will still ask me. Somebody's still gonna ask me. It don't make no difference. Now he's got a name tag. Yeah, I know. I almost put, hello, my name is Nikola Tesla. But then I was like, they for sure won't be able to read that. I'll try to leave it up. It's already not sticking. If you can see that. I don't want to punch through my painting. Yeah, the my name badges. I also don't want to ruin the painting like when I take it off. What trips would you give to folks to do grounding and spiritual stuff during a road trip? Would it be to energy centers like Sedona and East City Ranch? Hi, Rob. Yeah. Well, I haven't been to East City yet, but from every single person I've talked to who has been there, they say it's just absolutely phenomenal. So, but Sedona, absolutely. Sedona is one of my favorite places on planet Earth, and you really can't describe it unless you go there. There just is, everybody says it, but there's just this different energy there. You just feel different. And the weather is typically beautiful. The atmosphere is beautiful. And if you like to do things like hike, there's a lot of that there. I don't know. I think I kind of have that traveling bug out of me, but I do feel like I've got a road trip in me, especially with this quarantine. I'm kind of like, get me out of here. I need to travel, but I don't want to be on an airplane. So I don't know. You know, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll go to California and go see some of my friends that I haven't seen in a while. But the thought of California right now is kind of like even watching people getting arrested on the beach and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe I'll go somewhere else. That's one of the things I like about Arizona is that, and I know this isn't unique to Arizona, so there are a lot of places like this, but I like how you can drive a couple hours and be in a completely different terrain. Like, right, I live in the middle of the desert, but I can drive for a couple hours and be in the forest. I could drive for, 5 to 6 hours and be at the beach in California. I can, go into the mountains. I can go into Sedona, which looks like Mars. So it's nice to get a change of scenery. Yeah, are they going to make people wear masks on airplanes now? But everybody's, a lot of people have been sitting in snow the whole time, and I absolutely feel for you. I feel very bad for people who have been stuck inside during this quarantine, and I feel very lucky that I've been able to be outside. The weather has been gorgeous here during it, but if you're feeling jealous, just remember I will be on the surface of the sun in about a month, and you will be sitting pretty, and I will be a crispy carcass stuck to a rock somewhere. I live in Southern California up in the mountains. It's nice up here. No arrests, people are still living. Well, that's good. Yeah, that was one of the things I loved about Southern California. I remember guys I went to high school with would go surfing in the morning and like snowboarding in the afternoon. And I was just like, this is such a cool place. It really is a shame what's happened to California because, and it's proof of that you can absolutely ruin a place with policy because California has everything. It has literally everything that you could hope for in a state, and they are failing. Sedona weather is really good for the next month. It's supposed to be in the low 80s. So that sounds good because I do think I'm going to go there. Mount Lemmon in Arizona is amazing and spiritual. Interesting. I don't think I've ever even heard of that place. I live across the street from the park and they finally reopened the park. That's got to feel good. Would you move back to California if it got fixed? It would, I mean, yeah, I guess, but I love Arizona, so, I don't really see me moving away from here, but possibly. It would have to really get fixed, though, and it's probably going to take, I don't know. Maybe not. What do I know? What's my dream car? 1992 Dodge Shadow. I have no idea. I don't have a dream car. Cars don't really, I'm not really, okay, maybe like a Defender 90 would be cool. Or like, I like old Jeep, I like old Jeep Cherokees, like the old boxy ones. I like boxy cars. I don't like sports cars, don't do it for me. I would probably spend my money, if I was a millionaire, I probably still would drive the car that I drive, because I don't care about cars. No, we hate Mickey Mouse. Oh my gosh, speaking of Biden. I think I posted like 3 or 4 different video just clips of him today because it was just, the absolute state of it was unbelievable. One was he completely fell asleep during, this is his interview with Hillary Clinton. He's just asleep. He's either asleep or they powered him off. Or he's reading his next line off the inside of his eyelids. I have no idea. What were the other ones? Oh, he says something about economic intercourse, which, yeah, it makes sense. It's a term that can make sense. But if you are being accused of sexual misconduct, isn't it a good idea to stay away from any word that like has anything to do with that? And then what was the third thing? There was a third thing. I don't remember. I guess I could go look at my Twitter. But anyway, it was just absolutely, like part of me feels bad. I do feel bad for him because it's sad, but it's also, you have to laugh because it's so ridiculous. All right, guys. Well, I am going to scoot, but I will be back Tuesday at 6 o'clock next week. And find me on Twitter, Kate_Awakening. Find me on Instagram with the same screen name. Be sure to hit subscribe and the bell. I'm really good at this, you guys. If you aren't already set up for my notifications, you probably won't get them anyway, but do it just for the good looks of it. Just to make Kate happy. My notification bell is purely decorative, but it still looks better once you've punched it. Have a great night, you guys. I love you, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week.